Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Hollywood After Dark. My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the 1st of March, 2022. Tonight, we finally saw the future of cinema. Well, if you happen to be at any one of the AMC or Regal or IMAX included theaters tonight watching The Batman, holy hell, guys, a lot to talk about. Don't worry, spoiler free. Also, Bender's back, baby. BenderGate is over, and even Variety is mocking the Oscars. All of that and more here tonight on Hollywood After Dark, folks. Let's fucking go. Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? Welcome to the party. Welcome to the show. Hope everyone out there is having a grand, fantastic day. I feel like I might die from hypertension because of how much sodium was in that large bucket of popcorn I wolfed down all by myself tonight while watching The Batman. That's how you know it's a good movie. When you eat an entire large tub of popcorn by yourself in the span of 3 hours and you walk out going, oh my God, I might fucking die. But you know what, folks? You know what, friends? It was kind of worth it. I could lay my head down tonight, not wake up in the morning and still go, I saw The Batman. I'm doing pretty good. It's a solid movie, folks. It's a solid movie. We'll be talking about all that here tonight a little bit more. Obviously, you guys have your thoughts. William here comes in with the humble brag. Saw it Monday, 8.5. I know you saw it last night. Surprised you gave it an 8.5. I thought you would have been a little bit worried at the violence in the movie. I heard you talking about it. And I remember he's not worried. Thought it was a little bit too long. I thought it was good. Anyway, so tonight, kicking off some stuff. We'll get into that real quick here. I do want to quickly point out that if you guys are fans of this show and you want to support it, the best way to do that probably is head on over youtube.com/patio commentary. That's youtube.com/patio commentary. Also on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, you name it. And you may want to do that because this is going to be the upcoming week's episode. This episode dropping this weekend will be The Batman. I normally don't like to do movies that just came out in theaters, but this movie has been long gestating for 5 years. There is a lot to talk about, and I want to dive into all of it. So that's going to be patio commentary for this weekend. There will be spoilers, but it will be happening. youtube.com/patio commentary. Trust me. You're going to go see this movie. You're going to have thoughts. You're going to have comments. You might even have a couple concerns, but you know what you're really going to want? This is the thing, guys. This is the truth. You're going to want to know my thoughts on it. My hardcore, deterred thoughts, my unperturbed even. My no moleste. No moleste. Is that Spanish for disturbed? I don't know. But my thoughts. Anyway, that's happening this weekend. You can also help out too by hitting up patreon.com/Major, but that's probably the best way to support the channel. Just gonna be fair on that one. Patreon.com/ Matt Jarvis. Anyway, yeah, I'm just kind of laughing at that one. Anyway, good stuff there, guys. Good stuff there. But let's get into the thing tonight here. Talk about that. Hondo here with the $5 super chat right off the bat, dude, dropping them super bears. Thank you, buddy. Says we need some more dark 90s aesthetic. Reimagining the Riddler Zodiac Killer was a 10 out of 10. Yeah, really like that. Really like that. I guess, you know what? Like, I'll just bring in my first guest tonight. It's funny you say this about Doomcock Troy, because I actually think at one point there was a little bit of a Doomcock moment in the movie, to be honest with you. But we'll bring in Caden Reed. Caden here.
What's up?
What's going on, man? I know you saw this movie already. I don't know if you can speak to that yet.
That's I was saying that to Jack earlier today. I was like, I don't know if I can really say, like, if, when, and like how.
Yeah, you can't. I don't know, and I don't want to put you on the spot, and I don't want to spoil your secret. All I can say is that he's definitely been doing this stuff. Yeah, if William wants to come on in, he can hit me up on Twitter, and I'll send him a link to get his take on it as well. Again, obviously there's no spoilers because there's Well, and here's the thing with that. I don't even think there's really a lot to spoil, if I'm being honest with you.
I mean, the thing, yeah, that's what I was like thinking. Like when I was just thinking, like the other day, I was like, is there really anything to really like quote unquote spoil about this
One
movie?
thing, there's two things
There's
I would think.
there's a
There's
couple things that you
couple little
can,
things, yeah. But other
but
than
like
that, like
other than
there's
that, yeah,
no, there's
not
really
really.
not. Like it's not one of those movies where it's like, here's the thing. Okay, I'll put it to you guys like this. You know how like in every Marvel movie and even every like DCEU film, there's a shit ton of Easter eggs. Little nods, little
Right.
pointers to other things, kind of expanding the universe. None of that here.
No,
None
that's
of it.
what it's like. The crazy thing is, I think Matt Reeves or whoever said this said it perfectly, where it's a self-contained story, but it's still kind of like a chapter one to a book. You know,
Yeah,
it's like the
yeah,
beginning, but it can like you can still have the GCPD show and the Penguin show come out, and that could be it. Like that
yeah.
could like you can honestly just do those three things, but without like, but honestly, it's now it's one of those stories where it's like it's not a continued story, it's just like a self-contained story, which you prefer to do a sequel, but you don't have to, type of
Well,
thing.
I mean, well, no, there's a sequel to be done. There's
Oh, there is.
absolutely a
Oh
sequel
yeah,
to be done.
yeah, which would
I
be,
mean, no question,
I mean, he signed for a
no
trilogy,
question. Yeah,
so
about that. Like, there's absolutely going to be a sequel, guys.
oh yeah.
I will say this though. So, what you've got is a situation. Well, first off, the Batman here with a £2 super chat. Thank you, buddy. Asking,
Oh
is the movie visually stunning? 110%. I saw this in IMAX because that's what was available tonight. I
yeah,
normally when I go see movies, I sit like I sit close. I sit like and they're like not the like the front right there, not like the super front, but like right there at the base of the rise.
okay, so
I
like the
just
first two rows right there.
well, generally what I do is I sit in like where the handicap spots are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
There's a spot right in the center
yeah, I know
that is
exactly what you're talking about.
I sit right there. It's
Oh
not a
wow.
disabled person spot. All right. And it's a spot I purchased. So it's not like I'm taking away something, but it's right there. And I like sitting right there because I generally, it's like you have a good view of everything
Hmm.
and there's no one in front of you because I can't fucking stand people in front of me. Like there's a guy tonight on a cell phone,
Oh,
literally every 5 minutes on his phone.
like you can see in like in the like the
Yeah,
actual
he
front
had the
front.
light all the way down. He had the light all the way down, so it
Uh-huh.
wasn't like
So you can tell.
distracting. But I'm like, dude, like stop sexting your girlfriend because she's like sending him like snaps or something like that. I mean, she was a
Oh
cute girl from what I could tell, but I was all like, dude, if you're gonna, no, don't do that here.
my god.
It was a yeah. So, but I like to sit there. But tonight I actually bought my ticket all the way in the back row, center,
Mhm.
because I bought them right away, right when they went on sale, and I picked it up, and I enjoyed sitting all the way back on that one because it allowed me to just get it all in. And we do have William here from Sci-Fi Center.
Hey,
Hey,
what's
what's
up,
up,
homie?
William?
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
My brain is fried. I'll tell you that much.
I can understand. I saw the same exact movie 24 hours ago, and I completely understand. I thought it was epic. The serial killer film fan in me loved it. The detective movie fan in me loved it. The mob movie fan in me loved it. It is for me. This is just a personal preference. It's a little bit longer than I thought. There were some areas where it drug, where they either could have replaced those with more faster paced stuff, but nothing that really kills the movie. There was really no
Mhm.
aspect of it that really said, "Oh my God, I got to get out of this theater." I thought that everybody, it was a puzzle where no one person overwhelmed the movie like a lot of other superhero movies, where
Yeah.
you get the star power and the star takes over the movie. Like with The Dark Knight, for me, that's Heath Ledger's movie. I don't even remember most of the rest of The Dark Knight, but this movie was balanced.
Mhm.
The violence was, like I said, I love the violence. But while I'm sitting there, and when we did our survey before we took our people to theater, that was one of the biggest concerns of the movie was the tone of the movie. Would it be for everybody? And that jury's going to still be out. It was for me. I
I don't think it will be for everyone, if I'm being honest with you. I really don't. I feel like there's a significant swear word that's used relatively early on. And I thought that it was well placed as far as these movies get that usage of a word. But I was like, all right, a little bit on the some people might get a little bit upset because it's right off the bat sort of thing. No pun intended. But at the same time, the I would argue like for me, and you know what, here, let me ponder to you like this. I only started noticing the length when I realized that like I was in a packed auditorium with people and I started feeling the warmth, you know?
Mm.
So like I was wearing I had sweatpants on, I had a hoodie on, you know, I'm like, all right, I'm going comfy. Normally I would go in like t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops, even if it's this time of year, just because of how warm those theaters get. And I started really feeling it about 2/3 of the way through. And it wasn't that the movie was boring, but you know, I'm like, I kind of checked my watch and I'm like, all right, how much time do we have left? Because I just want to
My
like, you know.
bladder told me what time it was because
Oh no, I was good. I peed before. I had my
that's fine.
popcorn first and then my drink. You know what I mean? Like I saved my water for after the large popcorn because that was the other indicator too. When you start, like, you can tell a movie has got your attention at the rate of which you eat popcorn, right? Like, and so I got a large. Usually I get a medium. Or small, depending on like if I'm by myself. But I just decided, I said, fuck it, I'm treating myself tonight. I'm getting a large. And I sat down with it and I started talking to the guy next to me, who actually is from LA, from like not far from where I lived in LA. So like we were just chit-chatting about like, you know, living in Southern California and how we both missed it. But that was pretty cool. And then but I'm munched on the popcorn, you know, and then I munched on it literally all the way through. I think it was right around the time, like right around like about maybe the beginning of the second hour. So like, but it was a constant stream of chewing, you know? And that's how you know a movie's got your attention, especially American audiences. We do this where if it's a high action or high octane or really intense movie, we'll eat, you know, as a way to kind of cope with it or whatever. But yeah,
the first 15 minutes of it were so unique in the narration of it. I won't put any spoilers out there, but the way it reads like the opening pages of a comic book. I would liken it to year one or the first couple of pages of The Dark Knight Returns. The way it rolls out, the way that first 15-minute rolls out sets the tone for such a long movie, and it maintains that tone for the most part.
The opening of the movie too. Again, without spoiling what it is, like that opening scene was great. And it really, and again, I want to like dive into more like the psychology of certain characters and like why they do what they do. But what it got me was just like, it was violent, you know, but it doesn't like, but it there's violence that's there, but it's not like gratuitous, you know. But what I loved about the opening few minutes of the film is, again, yeah, there's that narration and it's setting the stage. And it was great because like you never know where he is and any of what he's describing. And it really like sets it for like when he emerges from the shadows and you're like, that's the goddamn Batman.
Yeah. I love the quote that he did to describe what you just said. There's a quote where he says, I can't be everywhere, but to them, I can be anywhere. And you felt the fear. And it was the first time I'd seen a Batman story told from the view of a scared criminal that is just looking in the shadows, waiting for this guy to pop out, you know, yeah. And it was perfect for that.
Oh, it was great. It was really great. There was like even in that opening fight scene, what I enjoyed about that was like the one guy who was like kind of didn't want to do any violence.
Yeah.
You know, and like you could see the hesitation and like how certain things were kind of going on in his mind with that. I thought that was really great. And I mean, I tell you this, I love Jeffrey Wright as Gordon, man. Like he was fantastic as Gordon. I loved, they had great chemistry.
Yeah. Perfect intermediate between the corruption and the good. He puts himself right in the perfect spot. So I enjoyed him as well.
He is the Gordon from like the animated series. If I'm being honest, like that is like the Gordon from the animated series.
Oh yeah.
I would argue like this movie felt like, and I was listening to RJ's take on it too on the drive home. And I liked what he said, that to him, this felt like it was the like the Kevin Conroy Batman TAS in live action. And that's a vibe I really got from this movie.
It definitely, like I said, it to me, like I haven't watched a lot of the animation stuff because I when I got HBO Max, because I was older by the time it came out.
Yeah,
I really wasn't clean. But like I said, it really Long Halloween. I felt a little bit of Long Halloween in there, as far as the variety of people that were around. I could have used more of Alfred. I understand, you got to get to everybody, but I could have used a little bit more of Alfred. I really enjoyed his interpretation of that character. I didn't think there was enough of him. The only other knocks I have with Catwoman, I thought her spots in the movie were kind of disjointed. I thought there was a lot more parallel that they could have done with her. But once again, those are nitpicks to the point where I only felt that way afterwards, as far as I reprocess it. But this movie, the sound score was great.
Oh, Giacchino is getting an Oscar for that for certain. Like if he doesn't get
nominated, at least nominated.
If he doesn't get if he doesn't get a nod, the Oscars are bunk. You already know they're bunk anyway, but like he brought this melodic nature, this dark melodic nature to the movie that I really liked. And even I was watching the end credits, because always watch the end credits, guys. Not that there's anything here, but I saw that I believe someone related to him, maybe his brother, Mick Giacchino, is the assistant orchestrator guy or whatever, right? He's an alternate. So Giacchino's brother or someone in his family was helping him work on this movie. I thought that was pretty cool. But I will say this though, what I liked and what I noticed right off the bat is just for one, how gorgeously disgusting Gotham looks, kind of like with Joker. How they said it in the early 1980s and during a trash crisis and everything else. And the city was dark and it was grimy and it was gritty. This felt like that, but 30 years later, 30, 40 years later is what it felt like. And I really enjoyed that. At one point, I literally thought they could have intercut something from the Joker and had it tie in, and it would have been mind blowing if that would have been the case. But I
saw someone today kind of describe it as a 1970s New York, downtown New York.
Chinatown. I see Chinatown brought up quite a bit for comparison, and I get that too. But I really liked the way that Gotham felt. I think it was kind of you look at, let's say, BVS, right? We got Gotham and BVS, and I like the way Gotham felt there as well. But this feels like the Batman
character.
Yeah, it really is. And what I also like is the introspection that Batman has about his role. He's I've been at, this is a couple years into it, and he's questioning whether or not his methods actually work. And that is a really interesting take on the character, to have that level of introspection. It's like I said in my spoiler-free reaction, it is almost one of the most uplifting movies of the year. Motivationally uplifting. Think about that. Right? Think about that, how the movie progresses, and you're like, this Batman's a fucking hero. This Batman, he's the hero. He really is. And it works so well for how they're building it up. I liked everything in the movie. I wanted more of everything. That's why the length didn't bother me as much. Yeah. But I am looking forward to watching it again from the comfort of my couch, to be fair.
I'm going to do that on HBO Max, because I don't know. I'm a wuss when it comes to doing that again. The two things that really, for the first 20 minutes, this score, and I was talking about with Jack, is the way it escalates as the intensity does. Not every movie can nail that. Sometimes it's just a score and it overlays. This score, I could hear the volume. I could hear the intensity in the score climbing and escalating as his intensity was. There's one where he's beating the hell out of a fool, and the music was just climbing and climbing, and I felt myself I think, am I next? That's what it felt like. And then the other aspect of it that should win an Academy Award, depending on what is released, it's only March, so we got 9 months almost of movies to get released. The cinematography is the best I've seen since Blade Runner 2049. The cinematography and the shot selection, and the color selection, and the color mixing, all the stuff I used to take for granted before you don't see that in a lot of superhero or comic book movies. And that's, to me, why the city was able to breathe and bleed a little bit more, because some of those angles that he shot it at really made the city look like it was an integral part. You could not tell the story without the city, the way he shot it. So I was happy with that.
I also like that there was a lot of it in the daytime too. There's a fair amount in the early morning, and some of it in the daytime, and allowing you to see the city in different environments. I like the pouring down rain from that chase sequence. That was amazing. I mean, the visibility was very minimal, even watching it, right? So you're watching it, and the visibility around the peripheral is just very, it's very blurry. It's very fast, because imagine we've all driven in a rainstorm. on the freeway at high speeds. You know, the visibility is very little. Here is like, that's part of it. And that adds to the tension and the intensity of everything. And but I'll tell you this though, when he fired up the Batmobile, that gave me chills.
It's just
the first time he did it. The first time.
Terrifying.
Yeah, no, the first time he did it.
That was one of my favorites.
That was like
the music along with that was like, I mean, I felt like I was in 1995 watching somebody fire up a Dodge Charger.
There's one guy who kind of runs in this circle that was bitching about the Batmobile since we saw it at Fandom 2020. And I'm like, you watching this movie when that went on, I was like, dude, he's gonna hate this, but I love it. Like, you know, because it felt very visceral for what this Batman was trying to do. I mean, like there's so many good moments. It felt like you're watching like, you know, another one that I think doesn't get a lot of love in the comparison on the noir side of it is LA Confidential. I got LA Confidential vibes out of this as well. And a lot of that had to do with just the overall story and the way like that, not only Batman, but like Jim Gordon was kind of protecting him, how he's like looking after him the whole movie. Cause if you think about it, right, it's kind of, there's a bit of a duality. Duality. Oh God, that's the word. Well, maybe I don't want to say even like a juxtaposition between Alfred and Gordon, but they're both kind of like, maybe they're. Yeah, sorry. The word I want is juxtaposition, where you've got Alfred who's kind of like not holding Bruce back, but making him question things, and Gordon who's just very much kind of enabling him.
Yeah.
You know, but not to go above and beyond, right? He's enabling him to like get the job done because they need his help, not pushing him towards anything that's, you know, going to like be bad or whatever. And so there was a really good balancing of that there. I thought the action was pretty spectacular. The stuff that we did get, like, I mean, again, the cinematography, you see it in the trailer when he shoots the grappling hook up and it goes up through the stairwell and all those cops.
Yeah.
I mean, and it wasn't just like a couple. It was like, you know, there's a lot more that you don't see. There's so many cops. It's insane. Like, and what I mean, just like everything with like the cops not trusting him, but then trusting him enough or trusting Gordon enough. Did you catch that? Where they trusted Gordon enough.
Right.
An element at parts where like they don't believe the Bat, but they trust Gordon in his character. And I thought that was like really cool to show that dichotomy, you know, where it's like,
it very much foreshadows the end for Gordon. You know, with that big scene. It's not big, but it's big for his character. At the end. You know. Yeah,
it's so hard to talk about this without spoiling it.
I know.
I'm trying to think of like how far to go with it, only because I know people out there they don't want it spoiled. And we're trying to do surface level stuff here. I will say this: I felt Zoe Kravitz nails the role of Selena. Her motivation.
I wanted more of her. I thought she could have used.
Oh, she was great.
5 or 10 minutes on the screen, but you know, and that's where it's so. If I'm saying shorten the movie, not necessarily shorten the movie, but add more of that element to it. If you're going to have a 255-minute movie, there were just some scenes in there. And like I said, I kind of wanted a little bit more out of that relationship, but what we got, she's great. Like I said, the stunts for her, I know it was a stunt woman, but the stunts when she comes down flying down the catwalk like that.
Oh yeah.
There was just a lot of stuff in there. Like I said, as a sick person who watches a bunch of serial killer movies and crime movies and documentaries and the first 48, this was like, you know, a smorgasbord for me.
Me too. I liked how they set it all up. I liked how what I loved was the wordplay in the riddles, especially as they were trying to like figure everything. I mean, never mind how the riddle comes to its conclusion. Oh, that was perfection. I thought like when they figured that part again, like there's some revelations in this movie that when you kind of realize what's going on and you realize how things were played, you're like, oh, wow. Like, you know, that's some pretty insane thought processes on that one. And they really kind of figured it all out. I mean, and again, like Colin Farrell, you know, give us more of him as the Penguin. And, you know, especially like just kind of as he's now going for the power grab sort of thing. Cause, you know, I think that's the prequel show is going to be him getting like.
Well, it's not a prequel show. It's a sequel.
It's a follow-on.
Okay.
It's like.
So it's him feeling well, okay, I can't even say it.
Yeah. Like we are legitimately trying, guys. We are legitimately trying because this is great. I mean, the movie, like I was a little bit concerned because for one, like, I'm surprised I didn't see anyone today freaking out because it's Zack Snyder's birthday. So I was really wondering if anyone out there was going to like be attacking Warner Brothers for, shitting on Zack on his birthday by releasing this the fan event or whatever. Never mind, it's a Tuesday.
I'm surprised. Actually, you say that now. I'm actually surprised no one did.
Well, I did try to shit post a little bit about that on Twitter today.
I saw that.
I gave out tickets. We went to the media screening, which the media and influencer, or whatever the hell they want to call it, was yesterday. And then I've been giving out tickets all week for people, and a lot of them have been Snyder fans, and a lot of them, like I said, are looking forward. You're always going to have the fringe end people, but the majority of them, then some of them I went with, they enjoyed it. To me, and I said this earlier today, this fills a certain need for me for Batman, but it doesn't fill the other needs for me in Batman. I have such a wide range of what kind of Batman stories I like to see that I still want that superhero film. I still want that Batman that's designed to interact with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and all those.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away from this movie. And what I got from the Snyder people that I hang with is they enjoyed it. They enjoyed it. They enjoyed the references. Without giving spoilers, there are references throughout that pay homage to Batman's history in general. So I haven't ran into, and I know some of those guys are online. They're on Twitter. I stay off of Twitter as much as I possibly can.
It's for the best.
For the moderate, which to me is a majority of people who are in the Snyder's films, most of the people I know were with me. I either gave them tickets to go, they were excited to see it. Their reviews are right along with mine as far as where it comes from. Now, there are legitimate reasons, and I said this before, that people will not like this movie that don't have anything to do in the boycott. Listen, guys, if you're listening, you may think that the hierarchy of Warner Brothers deserves to be boycotted or something like that, but you as a fan, a Batman fan, if you've been around this long and stuck through all this mess, you deserve this movie. Don't cheat yourself out of this movie. This movie is a good movie. It is a solid movie. It is like I said, I could feel the rage coming through the screen. I could feel when he said that comment about Nirvana, how that influenced him. I personally felt that rage through that movie. I loved all of that. He's not my favorite Batman, but this is my favorite Batman movie so far. Singular Batman movie.
I think I was a little concerned at first because I saw that clip online of him talking to Falcone, and he did that. I first heard his Bruce Wayne voice, and I was like, what is that? It sounded a little bit weird. But he's again, like when Matt Reeves said that he's in the movie, when he's in the bat suit 85% of the time, that's not a lie. Like, that's not a lie. There's a moment where he's not in the bat suit and he does something. And you're like, if this was a video game, this would be, everyone knows that moment in the video game when you lose all of your abilities and you have to go do something else. And then you come back and get him again. Yeah. It's like, that's kind of what it felt like. But what I love though was the versatility of the character, right? Like I really enjoyed how, he didn't just rely on Batman, like when he's all like, do you know who I am? Right. And that was kind of a reoccurring thing through the movie. You think it's going to happen a third time, and it doesn't. The movie does subvert expectations in a way that keeps you guessing and then really keeps you entertained.
Yeah. The trailers don't do it. The trailers are great, but like the Batmobile, the trailers do not do the Batmobile justice. The Batmobile in this movie is way cooler than just that one scene flying through the fire, which is an awesome scene. That's part of another awesome scene.
And that whole thing is practical. Like, that ain't CGI.
Yeah. The Batmobile, like I said, I want people to experience that introduction to the Batmobile into the movie. That was I think that might have been my favorite part of the movie. I know it's just a car.
Right. No, but it's a really cool car.
Yeah. And the way it gave me a Christine type of moment if you read Stephen King's movie, because the way it comes in is like, oh, okay, you guys are in trouble. And I pitied the people he was about to beat the hell out of, because he just doesn't hit them. He beats them, and he's wearing Kevlar gloves that can stop bullets. So that Kevlar gauntlet is hitting your human unprotected head a lot.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
Oh no,
I was like, I keep hitting him, please.
That Kevlar gets a workout. I'll say that.
Oh yeah.
That Kevlar gets a workout. But what I like though is that it gets a workout but it doesn't fully protect him. And like in regards, like he still experiences, like he still feels it, and cause sometimes in these movies when they get, when they're over armored or whatever, you're like, oh, they're not even going to be feeling the impact. Oh no, he feels the impact. It's just really cool. Like, hold on here. We got, Hondo for 5 bones, buddy. Thank you. It says hot take. DC should focus more on gritty R-rated movies to hit the niche that Marvel can't. They proved they can pull this off here. I want Spawn energy. This doesn't need to be rated R. I'll be honest with you. Like it edges that line perfectly in my mind.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know if it would be better as a rated R film. Not to say that I wouldn't watch it or enjoy
there's
it.
no blood. There's no blood where there should be a lot of blood, and that's how they got away with it.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit of blood here and there, but really not much.
Not as much as it should have been from what.
Yeah. Oh, there's some moments, but I mean, again, there was like a lot of what I enjoyed was, again, the depth of character in the film, especially about Bruce and his past and stuff. I mean, we all know the story. They really take it to another level here that shows us that even our heroes are fallible, and I really like that because I feel that doesn't get touched upon as often these days as it should in these stories, and you know what I'm talking about. But
the way certain, like I said, you told a really old tale that's been told for 80 years without telling that tale again. You got the gist of what happens and why he's here without really diving into that. And because we've seen that before and over again. Riddler does a good job. He's the perfect enemy for this because it brings out the detective. That's another thing about this movie is all the other Batman movies did not have the detective element as much as this one did. The detective element, the question and answer thing, some of it was common sense, some of it was detailed. Him at the crime scene. The scene, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but him at a crime scene looking at evidence. I read that all the time in the comics, but they don't do that in that way. He's in this grimy crime scene talking to the CSI guy about certain things, and he's giving information like you would see in the first 48. And that's an aspect of Batman that I love, the fact that there are other superhero Batman movies that don't do that. They stick to it being the superhero movies, but it's cool. Just like reading Batman and then reading Detective Comics, I can get 2 versions of Batman, and the detective element really is one that a lot of movie makers just don't ever delve into for whatever reason. They don't. Matt Reeves did, and I kind of enjoyed that.
I think they don't because, again, it's like a lot of people look at the criticisms of the movie going into it, right? People are saying there's not, they're saying, I heard there's not a lot of action, or it takes 2/3 of the movie to get to any action. Otherwise it's just, Pattinson brooding in his hood. And it's like, no, not at all. Having seen the movie now, not at all. There's a lot of action. It's a fantastic storytelling. Like, you're being told a story, which is the whole part of these movies. But I do think some people out there, they just want what they want is they want the entire movie to be like either Batman Arkham Asylum or the warehouse scene in Batman v Superman.
And I always tell people, no matter what it is, let the storyteller tell their story, and let go of that part, because that's that guy's job. And I understand I've been through so many Batman, but going into this one, I was committed to letting Matt Reeves tell the story that he has, and then repiecing that. I think, and with comic movies, it's natural because we all have the finished version of these characters in our head, whether it's Superman or Batman. We have the finished versions that we have been exposed to in our head, and we don't always give the storyteller the opportunity to tell the one that he has in his head. And we're paying to see him. We're laying down the money to see his storytelling. So it's really, really tough. I tell people before, listen, let go of the other Batman that you've seen for whatever reason. I don't consider this a superhero movie. It's a comic book movie, but it's not a superhero movie. Like I said, it's a detective, it's a mystery, it's a serial killer movie. It's all the things that I pay to see in movies. The only thing I don't pay to see in movies is comedies. I don't pay to see on movie comedies. So all the other gruesome stuff, I thought there could have been a little bit more violence for me, but I'm not right in the head. But the violence it gave me was it was beautiful. It was a symphony of ass beating in certain cases. I can put my fist up there because every time I think about it, I just think of him just pounding away and not stopping. I'm like, just keep going, dude. And then
Oh
he's,
yeah. There was, again, I don't want to go too far into it, but there's one part where you're like, yeah, he's gonna kill that guy.
yeah,
If no one does anything, that dude is going to die.
I know what scene you're talking about. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, wow.
And again, like that whole like, like the story. Okay, so you guys got to understand the story starts off as like this, kind of David Fincher-esque, right? Like this seven Zodiac type vibe, and it works
Oh,
really
yeah.
well. But then as it gets to the climax of the movie and like the big event happens, that whatever the full on plan was, that was amazing. Because like for one, like, you think, oh, something's going to happen, but they're going to find a way to stop it. That's how these movies always are. No, like they F it up, and it's just, but it works really well for the finale. And,
Like I
that's
said,
what,
it's a chapter 1, and like
yeah,
it's chapter 1. There's still
it's
more to
very
come.
chapter 1. Yeah. Well, and then, or year 2, cause they do write
Yeah.
down like, the notebooks and whatever.
Yeah.
But what's interesting though, is if you look at like how Batman operates and how the Riddler operates, we normally think of like Batman and the Joker being polar opposites. But in this case, Batman and the Riddler were kind of polar opposites,
Yeah.
because they were,
drove me crazy though a little bit when he's using that voice distortion.
oh yeah, no, sound like Doomcock.
Yeah.
Like literally,
I don't know why I was thinking
I'm
about
watching the movie.
I'm like, oh, dude, it did. And I knew when you said that, I'm like, I know exactly what he's talking about.
Right. I'm watching the movie, and then like it does this thing, and I could just imagine him going like, and Kathleen Kennedy is going to be fired.
It's like what movie am I watching now?
Yeah,
Like,
what the hell? But what
is
was
this a
great though,
Doomcock origin story now?
what was great was the follow up to that with and I don't want to go into until we talk
It's a
spoilers.
landmine of spoilers. It's tough.
Yeah. But you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Where like where there's that video.
Oh,
And then like
yeah.
just the way that he's talking in that made me laugh my ass off. Again, it's when we can talk about it finally, you guys will get it. I'll be able to go fully into it, but it's like it's almost like it's just like the opposite of what that was. It's really interesting. Like how some people posture to get attention, and then what happens like when it's just not them with like anyone really watching. It's very unique. I will say again, like going back to the Andy Serkis point, he'll have a much bigger role in the sequel,
Oh, yeah.
and I can't wait for that.
I
Because
really- I don't know if I like Jeremy Irons as well. I mean, but you got 2 Academy Award level actors, so it's really you win either way. I like Andy Serkis, period, and just about anything.
Yeah.
And I love the way he messed with him and the conversation about the one you see in the trailers, like you'll if you keep this up, you won't have anything, and then he responds, "This is my family's legacy," and I kind of felt that feeling for him. So there was nobody in the movie that I felt that was wasted. I thought there's some people that should have had a little bit more time, but I thought everybody gave
Everyone's used
their best
perfectly.
performances.
Like,
You
I think everyone's used the right amount and perfectly. And I think there could be like 1 or 2 more scenes with certain characters. But other than that, I think, but again, this is like from trying to remember the movie since I've seen it so long ago. Yeah, like it's just amazing.
it's a movie. The best way to describe it is it's like you go on in, and if you happen to be a Snyder fan and you love Affleck's portrayal, you might have a little bit of trouble getting into the movie. But I think as it progresses, if you start looking at it like from the perspective of being a slower burn, of really trying to like show you the world, show you Batman's mentality, his rage, his anger, he's I am vengeance. That's not just like no one, that's his calling card. At that point, that's his calling card. That's the I am vengeance.
Yeah.
That's what that's how people know him, how he strikes fear into their hearts and whatnot. And then it's like, oh, that's really cool. And so people recognize, and again, I loved, the opening of that movie was so good. Just so good. The way they shot it was like, just, I don't want to go into it. I don't want to go. But it's so good. It's such a good opening of that movie.
I love Ben Affleck's Batman. That to me, even after this movie, he's still my favorite person in the cowl, even though this is my overall favorite Batman movie so far. There were some stark differences between the two that I could appreciate going in no matter what. Where Ben Affleck's Batman is coming from is an experienced, jaded Batman that is just giving up on society. And that's him this Batman is just getting into it, and you could feel that there's no the discipline for him is not there right now. There's rage and there's methodology, and that's fine. But he's in that stage of his career where he's going to have to learn how to control some things, or he will kill somebody. But I, as a Snyder fan myself, and Ben Affleck being my favorite one, I am maybe because I'm a little bit more open minded, but I came into this loving just from the trailer. From the first time I saw the trailer, when I saw him when he says, "Who are you?" and I saw him just add 10 extra punches to that fool for no good reason other than to hear that skull crack, I'm like, I'm in. I am in. I will watch pretty much any other type of Batman movie, but this one did it for me on levels that are not superhero levels, and that's what.
No,
I think
and I've always been drawn to those kind of characters that are like, I don't want to say like not super powered, but I like ground level stuff. That's why I like Daredevil, Punisher, Batman, those kind of characters. I like ground level stuff, and to see like how. What I liked though was like this movie kind of showcased Batman's naivety at the same time, because he has this singular mission in mind, stop crime, but then like understanding that maybe that's not helping, that's maybe only harming. And then as the story unfolds and you start to kind of see just how everything goes and where it goes, you're like, oh wow, yeah, like this is pretty bad, like how bad things are. Like this is how if you've ever wanted to see how corrupt Gotham was, this is the movie for you to see how corrupt Gotham was. This is not like, it's not like, oh, here's this one mobster. It's like, no. It's like William said, this is a good mob movie at the same time.
It's not just Falcone. It's, without spoiling, the corruption. Well, one thing I'll say about this is the corruption is all around you. And this is a Batman movie. Difference between a Ben Affleck movie or any other type of movie, the environment does as much to tell the story as Robert Pattinson's presence does. I think he's in the majority of the scenes, but it's the environment and the atmosphere that do as much to tell the story. And that's not the same in any other Batman movie. And that's not to knock any other Batman movie, but it was interesting to see the city tells the story, the corruption tells the story, the add-on characters tell the story as much as he does. His performance is up there for me because it is well supported by the infrastructure of both the actors that are with him and the atmosphere Matt Reeves puts him in. I don't think that any one piece works without any of the rest. I think if you take away the cinematography, the movie would fall. I think if you take away any one of the actors, the movie would falter a little bit. They're all in there as this perfect puzzle that, and they all do their part. And like I said, even the sound score, some of those scenes where he's just beating on a guy, it's just him beating on a guy. But when you hear that escalating score, it's all part of it. And like I said, I've never seen a superhero movie where the environment did as much as this movie did.
True.
So I like I said, the only thing that keeps it from a 10 for me is I thought, like I said, I could have used certain more of characters in certain junctures, and the length of it from me at the beginning, at the end of the second act, I was like, okay, I'm feeling this 3-hour movie, but it picks up in the third act. And for me, the third act I thought was great. The fighting in this movie is different than any Batman. It's crisp, it's sharp, it's hard hitting. You could feel yourself being surrounded by the people he's beating the hell out of. And as he clears those people up, you felt the tension lift. And the way that those scenes were shot were great. It's a different Batman movie than anything that's ever been done, but that's okay. It's okay to have a different Batman movie.
I mean, I still think the warehouse scene in BVS is the best Batman live action scene.
Yeah.
That to me is God tier, right? But like the scene at the end, like the climax here was really good because you could see how angry he was and how he's just like, he's like, I'm gonna go and finish this thing. I loved the way that they built up to the ending of it, like just how diabolical that plan was. Without going into spoilers, it was a very diabolical plan that, had it succeeded, it would have been devastating. And it came very close to succeeding, which I thought was really cool.
And without giving any spoilers, and I'm almost got a bolt here. Without giving any spoilers, there is something that is led to, as far as that final scene goes, that I'll talk about it later. As far as I felt that scene, what the enemy was trying to do, and for certain reasons, and I'll go into them after I think enough people have seen the movie. That harkened back to something very real, and I was like, "Holy cow! They're really going to do this in that manner on this movie." And they were about to, and obviously that's what the hero comes in and saves the day. But this movie, like I said, I know you from this Snyder fan. I thought this movie was great. I thought this movie is everything I wanted it to be as far as what they were showing me. They intended to make a serial killer movie, horror movie, and all that. They did that. Robert Pattinson's Batman, not my favorite Batman, but he fits into this tapestry like perfectly, like everything else in this thing does. So I enjoyed the film. It was a rough 3 hours. I was supposed to go see it tonight again, but I can't do it. So I'll see it on HBO Max in 45 days.
That's just the tough part about the film is like it's long and you feel the length. Real quick here before you go, Rational Skeptic does ask, how does it compare to The Dark Knight for you guys?
Okay, the book so for the movie, listen, I'm a hot take, I guess, whatever you guys want to call it. I did not like The Dark Knight outside of Heath Ledger's performance of it. The difference between The Dark Knight and this movie is that Heath Ledger in certain aspects of that movie overwhelmed the movie, and everything else is there just as a small accent. This movie, the main villain does not overwhelm the movie. He supports the movie. Everybody in that movie is a supporting for the story type of character. I felt that in The Dark Knight, to me, it's just whenever I watch The Dark Knight again, I only watch Heath Ledger's scenes because the rest of the movie drags, and it really doesn't mean as much without him in it. This, like I just said before, this movie, everybody means something is equally important to the movie. Whereas The Dark Knight, I can't say that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
There's a lot there with in regards to like like what I love is like the investigation goes one direction. Like you think it's going one direction and then they throw a wrench in that and it goes a completely different direction.
I love
that. And you got to admit, like hold on, I'll just put this in the side chat because I don't want to say it out loud. And hold on. That I'm just saying that right there. That was one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Them figuring out that aspect as far as the certain
I
thought was hilarious, and I thought that was one of the parts of that I didn't know whether they meant it to be funny, but when they were talking to the penguin about a certain thing, this is the worst Spanish, that I laughed at that. I didn't know whether they meant me to laugh at that, but I was laughing at that.
What I love about that was like the penguins like, what are you guys like? Stupid.
Yeah. You guys are really bad at being like the best detective duo right now.
Yeah, like it's just, but he mocks him, but it plays into like like what they missed because they were overthinking it and everything else. Or it just because they were like trying to like get it done and get it solved and everything, and it was really great. Yeah, that scene was, I love that. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. Like outside of let's say
that's just it's just Colin Farrell's penguin's just so
he's unrecognizably great in this movie.
Oh my god!
You can't tell me that.
That's the thing. Like I was watching the red carpet premiere and looking back at like some other Colin Farrell stuff and looking at penguin, I'm like, that's not Colin. That's
not the guy from Miami Vice or
no.
And it's not just the makeup, his movements, his
whole demeanor, and he's like witty, he's like funny, he's a total piece of crap, but you're like, all right, like he gets it, like he doesn't overreact. Well, he does at some points overreact, but like only when he's like super pissed off. But like when he's kind of cornered, he just kind of like just starts talking shit.
He's like, you got me. So he was great in it. Like I said, that's the difference between me and The Dark Knight is The Dark Knight has a couple of performances that the movie hangs on. And without those performances, the movie just kind of falls apart. You take Heath Ledger out of it. Like you can't take Heath Ledger out of The Dark Knight. But if you take away he resonates on the screen even when he's not there. Whereas this movie is just a much more balanced movie. Riddler is important, but he doesn't dominate. Robert Pattinson is important, but he doesn't dominate. They flow. The Dark Knight for me, it's probably unpopular opinion, does not flow. So that's to answer that last question.
It only flows when, like you said, when Heath Ledger's Joker is on screen.
Correct, and that's why he
if his actions are part of the scene. Like if his action, like if it's like even if he's not part of the scene, but you know his presence is supposed to be in the scene and knows there, that's when it's also good.
Also,
but other than that, it's like okay.
Give you
Cool.
an example. Two-Face in The Dark Knight. A lot of people disagree with me. I thought Two-Face was a great character in The Dark Knight, but I thought he was forced there in a way that his character didn't get a chance to really develop and
One
breathe.
forced, and also he was wasted. Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent / Two-Face was the most wasted thing in that movie.
But if
was
you
just
you look at this movie, nobody's wasted.
Nobody.
Nobody's forced in. So
No.
yeah, so like I said, this is the best overall Batman movie. Like I said, I'm saying that the Affleck is still my favorite Batman because it represents an era of Batman that I love, which is Frank Miller's Dark Knight. But everybody's got their thing. This movie is fun. I recommend people, go see it at least once in IMAX because that cinematography in IMAX is splendid. You really need to be surrounded by that sound. You really need to be surrounded by that atmosphere. I'm glad that COVID has come down to the point where we had a really small theater. We only had 150 people, I think. But it was good to see people getting out for an event movie like this, and for it to live up because there's some movies just don't live up to the hype. This movie lives up to the hype. I mean, and I think the lesson to be learned here, if no matter what the film studio is who it is, whether it's Warner Brothers, Universal, let the storyteller tell a story. And fans who are a little bit misgiving about this movie,
give it a chance.
If it's not your tone, I understand. If it's not something you can see from the trailer, I don't understand. But if there are what I call administrative reasons that you don't want to see this movie, listen, don't do that. Don't let people like that who have that are thousands of miles away from you and they will never see you. This movie's out here. Matt Reeves worked really hard on it. Everybody in there busted their ass on it. It's a really good movie. Set aside anything else. Don't boycott anything, period. Anyway, but go see this movie. Go see this movie and go see it while it's on the big screen. And I think people are going to have a lot of fun, especially if you're a sick fuck like me who likes serial killers and crime and stuff like that. You're really going to love it. So that's all I got.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, thanks for having me on.
See you, William.
I get the Scooby reference. Oh, gosh.
We're always causing trouble over here, buddy. We're always causing trouble.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Right. I'll see you later, William. Have a good one. Thank you, buddy. All right. Well, yeah, I think William makes some really good points there. He does. He makes some really good points. The more again, I was hearing about this, Caden, and maybe you can speak to this. I saw someone say that they've talked to people who weren't really like fans of it right off the bat, but the more they thought about it a couple of days later, people who saw it earlier, like they changed their mind on it a little bit. Like this movie's layered. It's very layered.
Oh, it's just like after I saw it, I was just like thinking that and I was like talking to a couple of my friends about it after I saw it, and who are into spoilers and stuff like that. And then a couple hours later, I was like, oh snap, I forgot this one detail. Just thinking about it again, this huge detail, and I tell them, they're like, oh snap, that changes everything. I'm just like, yeah, and I'm just like, there's so many things that it's a very one of those films that you see it, and then you have to really process it, and then once you process it, then everything else comes back to you.
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple, there's one line, and it's not like a spoiler at all, but it made me chuckle because it was they're looking through a crime scene, and the Batman is holding something, and this other cop's like, hey, what about chain of evidence? Right? Or chain of custody,
right,
And then I won't say what the line was in response, but what made me laugh though was the fact I look around and it's this cop, and he's like, what about the chain of custody? And I'm like, dude, there's 80 fucking people in this room. There shouldn't be that's not how crime scenes operate, by the way. Crime scenes, they will clear it out and then they'll let the forensic team go in there and collect their evidence. That's what they do.
Right.
In this case, but in movies, they always have this, and this is real. In movies, they always have an overabundance of cops, in everything. And in this movie, there are a shitload of cops in every scene. GCPD is stacked to the brim.
Pete Savage, the way he plays this commissioner, it sounded like an animated series commissioner with that funny, goofy voice.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
like I was just
Listen
like,
to me. Like, I'm like, oh,
right. I was
I'm
just
going to
like,
make you an
this is
offer
the
you
most,
can't refuse.
this is the most. I was just
You
like,
piece
this
of
is
shit,
totally like.
Batman.
I was just like, oh my god, like I was just like, wow, they really went there for that. And I was like, yes, I'm here for it though.
I
And
will say, well, okay, so Dr. Ratchier for $5, man, thank you. Says, hey, Matt, while I enjoyed the movie, I didn't like what they did with the Riddler. I think Hugo Strange would have been a better fit. Hugo would have been a good one for down the road. The Riddler is a good starter villain.
yeah,
And there was a reference, someone asked me earlier, and it wasn't until what you just said in the DM, Caden, but like talking about like, was there a nod to the 60s Batman? Yes, that was.
oh
Think
yeah,
about that. If you've ever seen the 60s Batman, right
oh
now, yeah, you're
god,
chuckling at it now because now you get it, right?
yeah,
But I'm like, it's a
yeah,
really funny pun. It's a really interesting pun, and
oh
it's
my
really
god,
dark and twisted. And
oh
then
yeah.
but then when
It's
if you
also funny about it is also it's kind of like what's in the box type of thing for Seven. Like
kind of, but
what's in the box?
if you remember, like how Adam West would describe the Riddler's riddles to Robin
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
how he would solve them, there is a bit of a moment of that with that
yeah.
particular scene because
There is.
it's unexpected. You're like, oh, this is okay. This means this, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
no, now, oh, you
No.
Riddler. That it's just this pun, and but it works in the moment. It works. It really sells the
It
scene.
works, and it just shows you how smart and like weird Edward thinks. Like
Yeah, it was.
oh
That's
my
the thing with Paul Dano, that he was great. Like,
Paul Dano's just I think he's gonna be like like people say like is he up there with Heath Ledger's Red Joker? I'm like, oh yeah, he is. He's
for the scenes we got to see with him, really only like there wasn't much. Like the Riddler has a presence throughout the film,
oh
but
yeah.
at the same time, it's not like the way it
I
plays out
say
is not in every scene.
His actions are
Yeah.
like
Well,
his actions and presence is like
yeah.
Heath
Well, and
Ledger's
there's
Joker.
when they meet and they talk, and then there's like how you feel the scene is going to go and how that plays out. And I was all like, I'm like, oh, because you would think at this point, oh, he's aware of everything. And then how it plays out, and then you're like, oh wow, oh, because that was again how like the music played up that scene, and
Yeah.
then when the realization that it's I don't want to go too far into it, but it's like it was again there was really solid, really intense character interactions with this. Like you feel the animosity between Batman and Riddler. You feel the camaraderie between Batman and Gordon, how like they're developing a
Yeah.
relationship, how they're at this point, like, well, do you trust anyone? I think Batman asked Gordon, this is even in the trailer, is like, do you trust anyone? He's like, I trust you, and
Right.
then Gordon's like, do you trust anyone? And Batman's like, no.
Right.
Like, I don't trust
He's
shit.
like, no,
But
I don't.
but it's but I mean, there's like, what I also like is that there is even a moment where he does some stuff and he's not in the bat suit, but it does come across like the world's greatest detective type stuff, where like he uses his environment in order to kind of set the stage to do something, but he has to do it not in his costume right away, because he can't draw that attention to himself.
Yeah. I do like the subtle hints, like the scene that was released about with Carmine Falcone and Bruce Wayne and Penguin.
Yeah.
Like the subtle hints to Long Halloween, and like.
Well, and the fact that they gave us copies of the comic book tonight.
Oh, but they did.
Yeah, we got
That's so
copies of the
cool.
cook.
It's with the
not the
Batman
full,
variant,
not
right?
the full thing. It's
Right.
with the
The
Batman
Batman
variant cover. Yeah,
That's so cool.
they were giving that out and everything else.
That's
So it's like they were clearly, if you're going to the movie and they're giving you the Long Halloween comic, they're literally telling you, read this fucking shit. Or go
Right
watch the
now.
animated movie and you'll get a better idea of what to expect. What I
Right.
need to do is I need to go buy Little Caesars, because I delivered one of those calzones last night.
Oh,
And but they had a whole stack of those posters. I should go over there and
did you
and,
get the
and
Batman cowl popcorn holder?
No, I went to Regal.
Uh, which one
AMC
has
might
the
have had
top?
maybe
AMC does, right?
AMC.
Yeah.
Well, because this is only in IMAX, so I would have gone to a Cinemark if it
Funny
was.
enough, so people went to AMC and all the projectors broke. So they told them, "Oh, to come tomorrow to some other theater."
Yeah.
And it's basically same ticket. You don't have to refund or anything. Same ticket. Show their ticket there, and then I was like, "Damn, jeez, like that's so weird." But again, like you said, it's like probably wasn't compatible.
Yeah. Nerdy Mastermind here says, for those who have seen it, does Batman use his utility belt a lot? He barely uses it in the Nolan films. He uses it. It's not
Yeah.
like I wouldn't argue, I wouldn't say that it's like if that it's specifically a shitload of times, but like his grapple hook is in his sleeve. So it's
I
not like it's not on his utility belt like with the Keaton films.
To be honest, I think his whole suit is a utility belt.
Well, he's got like a little pouch thing on his knee, and
Yeah.
there's stuff in there. Like it's not well because again, Paul here brings up a good point. Thank you, Paul. I liked how Batman's current tech in space as a younger Bat is more primitive, and I think that speaks to that as well.
Yeah.
Where the Batman, he was definitely like he's on his motorcycle more than he's in the car. He kind of reserves the Batmobile for when he needs it, not so
Yeah.
much like when it's necessity.
Boom, let me crash into things,
Yeah,
let
or
me
in the trailer, you see him put like, and this is in the trailer, so he activates the wingsuit,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, that was really cool because I don't know if it's a spoiler if I say what it was. I won't though, but it's cool. It's really cool. It's in the trailer. You see it in the trailer.
Mhm.
Like they show like how, like, okay, I'll say there's one part in the movie where like they're doing something and Gordon calls Batman. He's like, okay, I'm here. And then Batman's like, yeah, I'm already here, you know?
Right.
And like, well, how the fuck did he get there so fast? And like, wait, how did he put his car right there? All right, I don't care. It's still a cool scene. Like I don't care. I
Yeah.
don't care. It's still a really solid scene. I saw a question about Carmine Falcone. Turturro like was excellent in the part.
Oh, yeah.
Turturro, like, I love John Turturro, but like here he got to actually be like a slimy mobster type character.
I love John Turturro.
And like, and again, the whole point too is like, the whole, again, just follow the thread of what's happening. And you can see how it all kind of came out. And it's all like, there's even a line. I don't want to say what it is, but it's in a
Right.
clip they released. So it's out there. I could mention it, but I don't want to. Where again, it kind of sets up something for down the road. And you're like,
Also,
oh, okay.
it's like the great thing about Carmine Falcone in this movie is again like just like like he is not in the movie a lot, but his presence is in it too. Like that's the thing with all these characters is that some of these characters aren't in it a lot, but their presence is known, especially Carmine Falcone, and
Yeah.
especially after we meet him. So
Oh no, it's definitely one of those things where it's like I really enjoyed Falcone.
Falcone, yeah.
I really I wasn't too sure like how because I remember like 19 years ago when Daredevil came out, right? And you had Colin Farrell as Bullseye,
Oh, right.
with like with the black Irish accent
Yeah.
and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like with
And
the
like with
freaking brand, yeah.
the whole
So
branded forehead and
yeah, right.
it's
Like it just okay, sure. I mean, like you could there's a line in Charlie's Angels 2 where the villain goes like, I'm gonna teach you and your friends a thing about peeing. Right. And like I know it's from Charlie's Angels 2, which came out roughly around the same time. But I'm like, you could easily apply that line to Colin Farrell and fucking, and Daredevil and shit. Like, I'm gonna teach you a thing about pain. Right? You're like, all right. Did you say pain or peeing? I can't tell with that accent.
I
But
know it's like, what are you saying? Huh?
yeah,
Oh,
but
you're
in this
saying
case,
that.
they
Okay.
really did like he was really good. And I really loved every scene he was in because like he is not like he's not the Penguin yet. right? They call
No,
him the Penguin. Like they know he's like
because
what I liked. Even the first introduction of the character, it's like, oh, the Penguin. So everyone already knows who he is. Like that's the thing
right,
about this movie, feeling like it's lived in. There's no birth of a bad guy here. There's no
no,
birth
because
of a bad guy. They're
the
all
only
there.
right and like what again like what I like about the Riddler is and like what Matt Reeves has said about this movie is that it's not an origin for Batman. Like because Batman has been around for this is year 2 for him. It's more so an origin for the villains. And even them have some feeling that they aren't just some brand new people that popped out of nowhere. They've had feeling in this universe as well, and which it reflects in the movie very well. Um, and and they really dive deep with that, um, especially with the Riddler and
Yeah.
his whole thing, which is
There's
a bit of spoiler, but
there's we again anything with the Riddler outside of what you've seen is kind of a
yeah,
spoiler, to be fair.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, even if you knew it, I would argue you probably wouldn't like feel like you like anything was ruined. Like you could literally know the entire plot to this movie, and I don't think it would ruin anything for you specifically. Like
yeah.
there's no real like mic drop moments of like, oh well, no, there's kind of one. There's
There's
one
one or
little
two.
one.
I feel like there's one or two, but but again, it's like if you're a Batman comic fan and a Batman fan overall, I think you know the gist of what this movie will be. Um,
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm trying to remember that scene.
It's okay. Well, it's hard for me to explain
Yeah.
it without. Yeah, it's their interaction.
Okay. I
You
think
know
I
how
know.
like you think
Yeah.
it's going. Yeah, okay. I know. It's like, but it's such a good scene. Like,
It is.
and then there is another. Okay, well, there is a moment at the end where there is something that's alluded to. And that's
Mhm.
and that was cool. I kind of expected it. I think if you followed any of the news this last week, you're kind of going to be expecting it because they didn't really hide it. Like once it came out, they just kind of downplayed it, but they didn't try hiding it. And
No.
but it worked for me because it kind of like again when we can talk about spoilers, we can go into that a little bit further. I need to watch that scene again. I'm looking forward to watching it again.
I can't wait to see it again.
I do like the fact that if any of you guys know about that ARG website that they put together for the Riddler,
Oh, the Rata Alada.
yeah, that's actually
Basically,
that's actually brought up in the movie. And
basically it's like the great thing about the marketing is that with that site especially, it was a great marketing ploy because not only was it just like again marketing stuff, but it very much felt in the universe, because you felt like you're immersed in the universe because of you're solving the riddles, and you're getting like information about the movie without even knowing you're getting information about the movie.
yeah,
It's
the marketing on this movie was fantastic. The trailers were great. The story was like top tier Batman detective comic.
yeah,
The kind of, I mean, and maybe, and again, like as I was saying to William, I prefer the more grounded street level thugs, like the mystery. Like I think as much as like, out of all the 4 Arkham games, the one I really liked the most was Arkham Origins because it was all about Black Mask. Like
mm,
Black Mask could be a villain. Two-Face could be a villain. The Joker will probably at some point be a villain because they're
yeah.
never not going to be able to do some kind of Batman
No,
adaptation without there being something there.
I
Hugo
honestly think
Strange, Hush could be a
yeah,
villain, and there's
yeah.
like there's one point where like you see the word Hush, you have to kind of laugh your ass off. But
No,
wait, hold on.
no, there's actually okay. Hold on.
But wait, okay, hold on here. 'Cause I like, if did you see? This isn't connected to Batgirl,
No,
but you know what I'm talking about, right?
I'm trying to think about what you're talking about.
Okay. In the Batgirl behind the scenes photos that came out a couple weeks ago, we talked about him here on the show. Like there was that one, Benson's friend had gone out there, like she had taken a bunch of photos of the set of Batgirl in Glasgow. and they shot part of this movie in Glasgow as well, I believe. But I know they shot it in London too. Oh, by the way, when they used the stagecraft technology, you can tell when they did the stagecraft technology, but it looks wonderful.
Did you know also that some of the climax, the big thing that happens, and how the city looks now, majority of that is CGI. Pretty much all of it, actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're that's who it was. I thought at first that person was connected to the bad guy.
No.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
it's kind of, but not like that.
Okay. It's like, I mean, the thing is like, okay, I know people have been talking about I know people have been talking about like or asking about like what other villains we could see pop up, right? Like, Reed here says Scarecrow. Kira says here like Victor Zsasz. I would love to see Victor Zsasz, Black Mask, Man Bat, Two-Face, the ventriloquist. I mean, there's a lot of the Mad Hatter.
The thing about this is also like what I'm so proud someone recognized it. A couple of people actually recognized this. I think Chris Killian and someone else recognized this. That what Chris Killian said, that this is like Gotham. Whenever Matt Reeves and the cast says it's grounded, it's not grounded in our universe. It's grounded in Gotham, and the way that Gotham is changing throughout this movie also will change the way that the universe works, as a whole works. And what also Chris Killian said, that like that without really getting to spoilers, that the way it changes, you can still have villains like Man Bat and Killer Croc, because of the way it changes.
You totally can. I think
because it's more of the like grounded as like the Batman the animated series rather than grounded as the Dark Knight, which honestly, yeah, I agree on that point.
We'll have to wait to see how they do it, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think it's I think for me it's they could do Deathstroke. They could do Deathstroke with what do you mean with Reeves? Oh yeah, sorry. It took me a second. Sorry, I thought Reeves. I thought Reeve is the whole thing. Yeah, Deathstroke could be there. It would be great in the role. I think but that could come down the road. I mean, depending on how they want to play it out. I don't see this Batman living in a world that would mingle with other heroes like Superman or Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I that's I agree with that. Like that, I don't think. Like, although yes, that like on set, like we saw when they were filming in Chicago, and people went crazy and started like taking pictures of like every little poster that's on everything, and started taking pictures of everything, and like we saw and there was like a little newspaper that was taking a picture of which talked about Metropolis and like something going on there, and then there was like a flash symbol somewhere. I think like the thing about that, it's not like it was. It's like Easter eggs that I don't think will foreshadow into anything. They're just like something to like make Gotham look trashy a bit with all these stuff going on.
I'm okay with Batman being on his own. I mean, don't get me. I agree with William. Like, I'd like to see, another Batman that works with the Justice League. But I think if as much as I want Affleck to come back to carry on that, I think this is it, guys. I really think this is it. This is the first solo Batman film we've had in 10 years. It is clearly better than the last one we got, which is The Dark Knight Rises, which was not a good movie. And it wasn't great. It wasn't worse.
Right.
I didn't care for it. But this one, it sets the stage for a Batman that has character growth. Now, look, and also it's kind of like, if you look at like Batfleck was at the end of his run, and he had lost all faith in humanity, and he now was a cynical, bitter son of a bitch.
And he was he lost it, but he was gaining somewhat of it back. But then we weren't able to really see that, to be honest. So.
Yeah, but in this case though, it's the opposite of that. where Pattinson is full of, he brands himself as I am vengeance, like that's his calling card. And then he starts to like realize that like maybe that's not the case, and what that can lead to. And then after that, he kind of says like, well, I have to be better, I have to be different. And from that he can then grow into future. So it's like this is very much a character study, a character growth film. Like I said in my little reaction, it could be almost conceived as like one of the most like motivational films of all time. I told the guy I was sitting next to, we kind of became single serving friends, if you know that term from Fight Club, where like we just started chit chatting and then chit chatted after all the way through the end credits and out to the parking lot. I don't even know this dude's name. I never gave him my name. He never gave me his, but we just started chit chatting.
I've done that. I did that a couple times at theaters.
Oh yeah, but I told him, I made the joke. I'm like, dude, you could send this movie to Ukraine right now and play it right there, and this will amp up their whole fucking country. Like take the fight to Putin, because they're not going to get the Batman over there in Russia. They're not going to have the storytelling that's going to amp them up to fight for their country. No, but give it to the the Ukrainians and shit. I don't know. I was making a terrible joke, but I guess I do actually have to start getting winding this thing down, because I have to start getting ready for bed. But I think this is a fantastic movie. It's one that I look forward to watching again and dissecting. I cannot wait to do the patio commentary on it, because I want to read up a lot on it. I want to get a lot of info. I want to deep dive into it. And I think a lot of people, once it opens and people go see it, even some of the bigger naysayers, I think are going to be proven wrong. I think I saw the worldwide opening weekend numbers. They're looking at about 225 million.
Right. Like 225, 250.
Yeah, but it could go higher than that, because it's entirely possible that this will do well.
I think I forget it was RJ or someone said that like this isn't a movie that had you rushing to get tickets, even though it had crazy hype behind it. This is one of those movies that you can still go to the theater and get your own ticket, and you don't have to do the pre-sale stuff, because it's not like, I still think it's going to be a really big movie, but it's something that you can just waltz into the theater and buy yourself a ticket and popcorn and a soda or whatever, and pop into the theater and be like, all right, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah. This is, I do feel a lot of people are going to make their way to this. But obviously, I'll do a spoiler discussion probably maybe Sunday night or something, maybe Saturday or Sunday, because I know people are going to rush out to go see it. And I want to talk with you guys all about it, because it was a blast. It was, quite frankly, the first movie I've seen in theaters since No Way Home. That was almost 2.5 months ago. And, as much as I love No Way Home, and I do love No Way Home, this is an entirely different beast of a film. Like No Way Home is very much a popcorn movie that has a lot of nostalgia, and it wraps up 20 years of storytelling in a very good emotional way. And I love that movie. But then when you get into the Batman, this is kicking off a whole new universe. It is reinventing the character. It's giving us a younger look at the character who is going to make mistakes and is learning as they go along, and surrounding with characters. There's a lot of love in this fucking movie, by the way. There's a lot of love in the movie. I don't think anyone's touched upon that yet, right? And I don't know if that's necessarily a fucking spoiler, but it's like, I don't think so. But without going too specifically into the love, there's a lot of love in this movie. Like, that's part of it. That's part of the character growth, is acknowledging that, and also like then dealing with what happened in the past. So there's a lot there.
Like, as we see with the Bat and the Cat trailer, and behind the scenes stuff, and with other trailers as well, like there's definitely this feel of like there's like this feel of orphanage and strays.
Yes, and those are two very, very good words to use. Say no more.
Yeah, those are the two,
I get that.
Those were the two words I was just gonna use.
Yeah.
And it's like right there in front of you. It's like, oh snap, and like you said, there's a lot of love, in this
Yeah.
movie.
Well, Rational here asks, why did Batman Begins have a great Gotham aesthetic, but The Dark Knight looked like a generic city? Because that's the difference between Chicago and New York. It's like Chicago. Like I've always viewed Metropolis as New York and Gotham as Chicago, because like there's always been the corruption, the seedy underbelly of Chicago, more so than New York, and in mobster approach.
Yeah.
Like isn't like Star City or whatever, like isn't that like, or Central City, whatever
Star
the fuck
City
one
is,
flat, it's like
Star
Miami.
City is Green Arrow, and it's more of like Atlanta.
Yeah, right. And
like
then like
that area.
fucking, and like Central City is like Miami.
Yeah, I would say like kind of like that, like
or Vancouver, British Columbia, but that's only because of where they fucking film it.
Because it's filmed there.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, yeah, you're right about Star City. Though that's the thing with these like, what is it? Was it one of the Marvels is like, like they have the Great Lakes Avengers,
Yeah, which is
like,
just. But the thing about Great Lakes Avengers, is that like, I forget where they're based, but they're not even like near like
the Great Lake. There's 7 of them. There's 7 Great Lakes. I mean, to pick one.
Right. The Great Lakes.
Yeah, Lake fucking Ipecac. It's not even a lake. But real here, Mage is asking, how is the sound mixing? I thought it was great in IMAX. I thought it was great in IMAX.
Well, when I saw it, it wasn't really
mixed. Yeah. You saw something that wasn't 100%.
Because it didn't have the score. It still had that Batman score and something in the way. So it was just like okay.
Oh, you had a higher they had the original Batman score?
Yeah.
Wow, temp mix. Okay. That would be very interesting to see that, by the way, to see that play the hell out. I think that would be very fascinating.
Because so they had the original Batman score with a mix of Michael Giacchino's Batman score. And it was very interesting, to be honest. It was just like, oh, wow.
I'll tell you what,
like, I found it mix. It's a good mix from what I remember.
Yeah.
It's just very like hitting. I was like, oh wait, this is like the score with them both mixed. Okay.
The Robin Easter eggs I did not see a Robin Easter egg in that one. Okay. That's a little bit on the nose, though. That's a little like I saw it too.
There's 3 things hinting at that. It's like what I said about the 2 words earlier, and which falls into those things. But that's what.
Yeah. So. I mean, we're not there. We're not there yet. But I think I know what you're talking about, because it kept going. Yeah, all right, I get that.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. Like, but that's down the fucking road, man.
Yeah,
that's down
like,
the road.
I don't see it in Batman 2, but I think it's like if the like that, because again, like I think Dylan Clark, if that's his name, he said to Brandon Davis asked him, when do you think the next if the sequel would come out? And he's like, in the next, like, you won't have to wait more than 5 years. So it's probably gonna be like in 2 years, honestly.
I mean, they could. Well, I have a feeling they're gonna start, like, I think after this weekend opens, they're gonna start rapidly working on a sequel. I have a feeling he's already written a sequel.
Yeah, that's what I think. I was like, he already has a sequel.
I think he's got the other 2. I think he's got the other 2 done. If I'm being fair, I think it's been enough time.
I think he probably has like 4 scripts written.
Probably. He's going to Warner's, going like, he's
like,
going to go to
2 scripts. Look over them, pick which one you want me to do, and I'll do that one. And then he's like, the same for Batman 3. Pick the one you want me to do, and I'll do that one.
He's probably already pitched him, or you could just go up there and go, look, man, Disney's got 4 fucking Avatar movies coming. Okay,
right?
All right, like we got to compete, man.
Back to back right now.
Yeah, let's just shoot them all back to back,
and then greenlight another trilogy for me.
I mean, they might, man. Like, there's a lot there. There's a lot. That's what I'm looking forward to with like the television shows, to build out this world. And as much as I am bummed that it's not going to like find a way to overlap with like Peacemaker, because I love Peacemaker and what Gunn is doing, and even though that's part of the DCEU, I'm okay with it, to be fair. Like, it sucks, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And then oh yeah. Okay, did they show the DC film sizzle reel? Yeah, they did. They did show that. That
I
was the
did
one
hear they
they
did hear that.
yeah, and I you know, and I was gonna laugh because like it showed it's a minute long thing they played at the Super Bowl, and I'm all like, oh, the one where it's like here's the Batman, and then here's 3 other movies that are coming out that aren't interconnected, but you don't tell anyone that. And I think that's going to be a big problem. Again, I do not. I'm just telling you guys right now. I'm telling you right now. I think the Batman coming out first is going to seriously negatively impact everything else going forward.
What I also think is that the thing about the DC that film sizzle reel, they kind of like advertise it as a DCEU type of thing.
Yeah,
They didn't do it as a DC multiverse. They were like DCEU, like all these like. So that's the thing. Also, I was just like, oh, so that's like I agree with you that it's gonna confuse some people, like in the general audiences that don't really pay attention to everything that's going on. They're just gonna look at the movies and be like, oh, I thought Robert Pattinson was the Batman in this, but it's Ben Affleck. Oh, it changed to Michael Keaton, type of thing. So it's like, it's like, oh, what happened is Robert Pattinson's movie a prequel to Ben Affleck type of thing, because of course
yeah.
there's like that whole rumor stuff like that. Um,
I still think that's like, again, that's my take on it being the best course of action. I think they could have done it here, but it's okay that they didn't. And again, I mean, look, now that I've seen it, my whatever fears I had were alleviated. They're gone. I want more from this, and I'll take it. We may not get more from other characters that I want to see as well. That's unfortunate, but like I said at the beginning of this, I got to celebrate Zack Snyder's birthday by watching the Batman. But before,
so I do have a question for you after.
Yeah. Okay, there's a couple quick things to get through here. Ryan, I know I'm going to get to that in just a second, buddy. So I appreciate you leaving the super chat. Just I didn't want to derail the conversation because it is a little bit off there. Nerdy Mastermind asks if they any hint towards any other villains. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Pretty big. Pretty big.
I mean, there's one that's a very clear hint at a certain somebody.
Yes. And
I mean, there's actually no. There's more than one, actually. That's like a big hint towards two certain somebodies.
Who's the? I know the first one, but the second one maybe eluded me. Tell me later. So yeah, there's that. But all right, real quick here, because this was something that was asked. Anthony's been kind of hounding me in the chat about it. Anyway, so apparently parental controls are going to be added to Disney Plus on March 16th to allow for more mature content. This is because they are bringing the Marvel Netflix shows over. And I thought they were going to put them on Hulu. It seemed like the best course of action. But I think given the popularity of the Marvel shows, each one of the Marvel shows hitting like top tier viewing statuses, this is only going to really increase the popularity of Netflix and everything else, or of those shows. Or we're not even going to be able to call them the Marvel Netflix shows anymore. Like, well, that's going to be the affectionate title. It's never going to go anywhere.
Right. I like looking at the way that Disney Plus categorizes the Marvel Universe shows and all that stuff. You can definitely clearly see what MCU stuff is and the Marvel stuff is.
Yeah.
Which they make it very clear on their Marvel page and on the homepage.
Well, now we're gonna see if this is a part of the canon.
Right.
And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is coming too. So it's not just these shows. All 7 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or 8 seasons or whatever are going to be going there also on March 16th, which is cool because I can finally dive. I think I stopped on season 3, but
someone was like, "Oh, you guys are like happy about this, like going crazy about this, but like in Canada and everywhere else, we have The Walking Dead and Deadpool and Disney Plus." I'm like, yeah, because you guys have Star. Like we have
well, I think Hulu is, once Disney takes over Hulu completely.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna start like, look, when the Orville gets moved over from Hulu to Disney Plus, that's where things are gonna get a little bit on the crazier side. So there's that, but I do want to quickly get to Ryan super chat here. Thank you, Ryan. It says, did you hear that Chris Stuckman has just launched his Kickstarter campaign for Shelby Oaks? His goal is to reach $250,000, and he is 3/4 of the way there. You did post this in the Discord real quick, bringing this up because I mean I like Chris Stuckman, and this is his.
I don't know.
He's a reviewer on YouTube. He's he's like one of the more popular film reviewers.
Did he get like a film deal once?
This is it.
Oh, this is it. Oh
yeah.
Oh
yeah. So he's doing this. Shelby Oaks is one. I think he's writing and directing, or I know he's at least directing. And look, you got $214,000 off of 1,600 backers.
Wow.
So clearly there is some money backing him there on that one. But
that's the concept trailer right there.
Yeah, but I don't have the hold on here. Oh wait, no, hold on. I can't.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Chris Stuckman. I'm a filmmaker, an author, and a YouTube creator, and I'd like to welcome you to the Kickstarter page for Shelby Oaks, my upcoming independent horror film. If you've watched my YouTube channel for a long time, you know that I've been passionate about filmmaking ever since I was a teenager. I always liked movies as a kid, but I never really understood that people made them until I went to a theater in 2002 and saw the right series of movies. It was Minority Report, Spider-Man, and Signs. Seeing those 3 movies in succession, that was it for me. I knew exactly what I wanted to do from there on in. No matter how much opposition I was up against, I knew I wanted to be a filmmaker. I got my hands on a cheap camcorder and spent the rest of my teenage years making short films and amateur features with my friends. I did tons of reckless stunts dressed up as Indiana Jones for 2 fan films because I took it seriously. Even at that amateur level, I knew I was doing what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I later started a YouTube channel all about film and filmmaking that currently has amassed around 2 million subscribers. I've had a great time discussing movies with the best audience in the world ever since then. Over the years, I've been able to visit movie sets more often and learn about things that happen behind the scenes, as well as shoot 2 award-winning shorts, Auditorium 6 and Notes from Melanie, that both played at many festivals around the world. And now I finally get to take the next step in my filmmaking journey that I have wanted to take ever since I was 14 years old and saw those movies in theaters, make my own feature film. Shelby Oaks is a horror.
All right, sorry. I would watch the whole thing. I actually have to go to the bathroom like really bad, so I gotta nip that one in the bud there. However, I'll
check it out.
Yeah, check it out later on. I'll post the link in the chat there. I know, guys, I'm really sorry, but you know how it is. You know how it is, right? Like, you know. But thank you for that one, Ryan. I really appreciate that. But also the other thing here we're talking about real quick, before we get to the I guess the last primary subject here, is according to AMC CEO Adam Aaron, they said that they are charging higher prices for the Batman as they play around with variable pricing,
which is weird to me.
Yeah,
variable pricing part. Okay, fine, yeah. I get that because again, like they had some a big acquisition with a theater here in LA, and cool. Like you could whatever, you need more money, whatever. I don't care. Like okay,
yeah,
but variable pricing, like.
Well, I've always argued for variable pricing, but it should always be like after a film opens. You know, like 2 weeks later, it drops by 50% or something. And then from there, you know, maybe, or it drops even more after that. Charging more on a premium for the upfront when a movie is going to come out in 45 days, it's like people are just going to they're going to gauge even that. Like, I can just wait, you know? Right. So I think this is kind of a dumb idea, but we'll have to pay close attention to that as time goes on. And then finally tonight, guys, I'm sorry, I'm going to be racing through this because it is bad. John DiMaggio is back.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. BenderGate is over. The deal has been found. It's been great. And that's it. I gotta go. So sorry guys. It's yeah. All right. Thank you, Kate, for coming on. No DM me the question you want to ask me and we'll get to it. Yeah. I'll be back on tomorrow night, everybody. Go watch the Batman. Love you lads. Bye.